I call this November 11th regular session of the Oconee County Board of Education to order. First item of business is we need a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Mr. Burgess?
Second.
Mr. Ransom, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Next, we need a motion to approve the minutes from October 21st regular session. Mr. Hammock? Ms. Parrish, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Next, we have recognitions. Mr. Colquitt.
Thank you, Ms. Argo. Board members, good evening. Dr. Branch, if you will join us up front, we have several people to recognize this evening. As you come forward, I'll note that our art display this month is provided by students of Oconee County Elementary School. Their instructor is Michelle Jones. Their slides are on the screen now and will remain on the monitors in the hallway throughout this month. We thank OCES for sharing their artwork with us. First this evening, the board will recognize the November Pursuit of Excellence Award winner in the category of Service Employee, Nancy Rodriguez of Dove Creek Elementary. She is receiving a $50 Visa gift card and golf umbrella provided by Peach State Federal Credit Union, as well as additional gift cards from Chops and Hops and Rosie's Hometown Meats, and a commemorative plaque from Oconee County Schools. Ms. Nancy, this is the part where I have to embarrass you just a little bit. From some of your colleagues, Ms. Nancy is a joy to be around. She always has a smile on her face and shows a willingness to help. She keeps our school spotless, and it is clear that she takes great pride in her work. Dove Creek Elementary has been blessed by her hard work and dedication. She goes above and beyond for her students inside and outside the classroom. I hope one day all of you have the chance to work alongside her. The November Pursuit of Excellence Award winner, Nancy Rodriguez.
Next, we'd like to recognize a few of our community partners. So when I call your business name as well as the representative here, if you'd please come forward. First, we have Akins Ford, Miss Molly Morris. Next, from Bank South, we have Miss Lori Peterson. From Chick-fil-A, Epps Bridge, Casey McWhorter. From Georgia United Credit Union, Ken Shanowski. From Hayward Allen Toyota Motor Company, Tim Jump. Oconee State Bank, Haley Reed. On behalf of Peach State Federal Credit Union, Ryan Hawk. From Piedmont Athens Regional, Delina Brockman, Caselyn Cadena, Brittany Mitchell, and Katie Tyrrell. And from Walton EMC, Jeff Paul. And while they were unable to be here this evening, we would still like to recognize Athens Ford, Chops and Hops, Georgia Home Partners, and Zaxby's of Watkinsville. Oh, Nick Faulkner from Zaxby's. I apologize, Nick, you slipped in.
Next, the board will recognize the FFA State Fair Award winners. Grand Champion Overall County Group of Lambs, Lily Griffith of Rocky Branch, Tanner Griffith of Dove Creek Middle, Coulter Steinkamp of North Oconee, Lena Steinkamp of North Oconee, and Caleb Parsons of Dove Creek Middle. County Group of Lambs, third place overall, Brady Smith of North Oconee, Virginia Ruark of Malcolm Bridge Middle, Christopher Butler of Malcolm Bridge Middle, Haley Parsons of North Oconee, and Hinton Dalton of Malcolm Bridge Middle. Reserve Grand Champion Market Doe, Catherine Coletti of North Oconee. 12th grade Goat Showman, third overall, Catherine Coletti, North Oconee. Breeding Doe, third overall, Coulter Steinkamp, North Oconee. First year Market Lamb Showman, Reserve Grand Champion, Coulter Steinkamp, North Oconee. Eighth grade Goat Showman, second overall, Kinsley Mann, Dove Creek Middle. Third grade Lamb Showman, third overall, Lily Griffith of Rocky Branch. Their advisors are Emily Corson, Tim Griffith, and Brandon Walker. Next, the board will recognize the FCCLAA State Fair awardees, Abby Seagraves and Summer Dyer of Malcolm Bridge Middle, for first place in the Georgia Fall Rally Sticker Design Contest. Their advisor is Jana Hester. Next, the board will recognize the National Beta Club 8th grade math competition awardee, Yuban Kim of Malcolm Bridge Middle, who placed 6th. The advisor is Elizabeth Patrick. Next, the board will recognize the 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Ms. Sandra Nash. Ms. Nash, the selection committee received lots of letters of recommendation for you. I'm going to read some of those excerpts now. Mrs. Nash served Oconee County Schools for more than 2 decades and was twice named the district's Teacher of the Year. She has always embodied the essence of professionalism. She supported her fellow teachers, every school and district initiative, the Fine Arts program, the athletic program, and so much more. She was the ultimate team player. Mrs. Nash accomplished all tasks with great initiative and a positive attitude. She built incredibly strong and long-lasting relationships with students and parents. Her kind heart, determined spirit, and unmatched expertise were evident. She had an incredible ability to inspire students. She is the best teacher I have ever seen. She loved her students as if they were her own children. Her passion for learning and her commitment to seeing her students succeed were unparalleled. She is kind, compassionate, dedicated, and caring. Her impact will last forever in the hearts and minds of the students she served. She is a legendary teacher, leader, mentor, colleague, and friend, and she is a giant. Ms. Nash, congratulations.
Oh, I can talk loud enough without this. There's just not any words. God made me a teacher, and that's what I've done. It's never been a job. It's been a joy. And I thank you so much for sharing your kids with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
It will be. Yeah. Oh, there it is. It's on the board. Yes, ma'am. Board members, we have one last recognition, but for this one, I'm going to ask you to return to your seats. Dr. Branch, I'll turn this portion of recognitions over to you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again, Ms. Nash. We are so proud to be celebrating so many great things tonight, from outstanding students to legendary teachers to retiring board members. As the community is aware, we have 2 retiring board members, and we will be celebrating Tim Burgess tonight and Ms. Kim Argo at our December meeting. So tonight, I'd like to just spend a little bit of time talking about the accomplishments that this school system achieved and that this governance team achieved with the direction, support, guidance, and commitment of Tim Burgess. Tim has 11 years of service to Oconee County Schools as a board member. He's been trusted by the people of Oconee County and successfully elected 2 times to post 4. He's been part of the GSBA Governance Team of the Year for all school boards in 2020. This board has been recognized as an exemplary board by GSBA every year since Tim joined the board, from 2015 to 2024. He's seen unprecedented growth of 18% since 2024 in student enrollment, from 7,000 students to 8,500 students. He's overseen and supported the highest academic achievement in Oconee County Schools history, seen the graduation rate increase from 91.9% in 2014 to 99.1% this year, or last year, rather. An increase of SAT scores to the number 3 SAT scores in the state at 1161, and as we'll hear more about tonight, an all-time high 24.5 ACT score for number 2 in the state. Seen increased advanced placement achievement courses and opportunities. The achievement rate has gone from 74% in 2014 to 94% this last year. He's overseen the addition of instructional courses, adding high school credit at the middle school with courses in algebra, physical science, band, chorus, and Spanish. At the same time, increasing CTAE industry certified programming from 1 to 10 programs. Increased advanced placement courses from 21 to 28. And perhaps most importantly, in the 10 years of graduations he's attended, he has seen 6,629 students come across that stage to receive their diploma. In the realm of special education, he has seen the increase of number of special education teachers go from 65 to 93. Added 2 speech language pathologists for a total of 10, and added our first ever instructional support specialist in special education. This year, we also celebrate our special education graduation rate moving from 84% to 100%, the highest graduation rate in Oconee County Schools history. The increase of the parent survey participation from 65 parents to 712 parents, while at the same time seeing special education service parent positivity rating increase from 54% to 97%. In technology, he has approved the implementation of a 1-to-1 Chromebook program for all students, established a disaster recovery plan and purchased appropriate equipment, and managed our yearly technology surplus list, which he'll get a chance to do again tonight. He's approved the purchase of 35,230 Chromebooks at a price of $11.6 million. Approved the purchase of 1,900 desktop computers for $1.5 million. Approved the purchase of 1,529 staff laptop computers at a price of $1 million. Approve the purchase of 1,087 projectors and interactive whiteboards, $700,000. Approved classroom audio systems for all elementary schools and conducted school intercom improvements for 5 schools at a price of $1.4 million. Approved a new student information system, Infinite Campus, and approved a new learning management system, Canvas. It's expanded the technology capacities of our district network, increasing the internet connectivity from 1 gigabyte to 10 gigabytes. They tell me that's a lot. Implemented and expanded wireless access points at each of our schools and added new redundant network firewalls for student and staff security. In the realm of human resources, he has approved 1,837 new hires. The number exceeds the total number of our current employees by more than 750 individuals. Of the current staff, over 80% were approved during Mr. Burgess's tenure. He voted to approve 12 of the 12 current principals, 17 of the 19 current assistant principals, and 46 of the 60 current central office leaders and staff. Hired the first ever Oconee County Schools Director of Communication in August 2017. Launched Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for the system that now exceeds 22,000 followers. Launched the Villa program in 2019, which provides parents the opportunity to learn more about the public schools in our local community. And changed the board meeting times from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. and began live streaming those meetings for easier community engagement and access. In the realm of student services, Tim provided social emotional counselors in our budget for each of the high schools. He's updated security cameras in all schools and on all buses. Approved the enhancement of visitor management system and a reunification system should it be needed. Added a crisis alert system. Added security vestibules at entrances for all of our schools. Added access control doors to all schools. Continue to expand opportunities for students by adding esports, dance, flag football, lacrosse, and return of slow pitch softball to high school athletic programs, while at the same time providing expanded access to our middle schoolers in 6th grade access middle school athletics. Renovated both high school stadiums, adding turf fields and new tracks, and updated lighting in all outdoor athletic facilities. In operations, he implemented and oversaw and supported a $182 million building campaign to modernize and enhance instructional and athletic facilities. Additions at Malcolm Bridge Elementary School, High Shoals, Column Ferry, Oconee County High School, Oconee Middle, and Malcolm Bridge Middle School. 12 renovations, Rocky Branch, Oconee Elementary Phase 2, Oconee Primary Phase 2, Oconee High School Phase 2, Oconee High School Fieldhouse, the Oconee County High School Academic Building Phase 3 and Phase 4, Malcolm Bridge Middle School Phase 1, Oconee Middle School Phase 2, Malcolm Bridge Middle School or Malcolm Bridge Elementary School's academic buildings, Malcolm Bridge Middle School's academic buildings Phase 2, Oconee Middle Phase 3, 11 modifications, Rocky Branch Elementary School kitchen and roofing, Elementary School Phase 1, the Primary School Phase 1, Malcolm Bridge Middle School, Oconee Middle School, Malcolm Bridge Elementary, Rocky Branch Elementary, Primary Elementary, Oconee, and North HVAC program. And 4 new constructions. The Instructional Support Center we sit in today, Dove Creek Middle School, Dove Creek Elementary School, and not to be forgotten, the Oconee County High School concession buildings. We've approved the purchase of 56 buses at a cost of $5.9 million, instituted a bus replacement cycle so that no buses in our daily route are over 20 years of age, approved the air conditioning of all school buses. And finally, from Business Services, which we know is your favorite area, the total amount of budgets approved during your time in service equal $929 million. At the same time, you've overseen the decrease of the millage rate from 18.5 mils to 14.25 mils, which is, as you like to point out, the lowest rate this century. You approved the certified and classified raises for staff equaling over 21.5%, and approved step increases just this year for years 21 to 30 for all eligible employees. And finally, ranked number 1 in Georgia for financial efficiency by the Georgia Department of Education in 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. They got so tired of giving us the award, they discontinued the award under your leadership. So lots to be celebrated. Please join me in celebrating Mr. Tim Burgess. Now, we do have one final presentation, and at this time, I'd ask Mr. Dan Smith, retired CFO for Oconee County Schools, to come forward for a special presentation for Mr. Burgess.
So on my drive over, which isn't nearly as long as it used to be since 316 has been approved or improved a lot, I was thinking about what I wanted to say, because I started my career 40 years ago this year. I had dark hair, probably half the size I am now. But the course of my career took me to state government, 4 school districts, 1 county government constitutional officer, the only elected Republican this century in an overwhelmingly Democratic county. So that was always interesting. I was CFO in 2 school systems, but it was Oconee County where I felt like I had landed in heaven. A different board for the most part, except for the 2 I'm looking at right now. The first time, but last year, I had the honor of coming back as the interim CFO while the position was being filled, so I got to serve this board as well. So I was telling Dr. Branch earlier today, some of the budget meetings that I've been in, some of the budget or just financial presentations I have made in the past, I felt like I was a hostile witness for the defense sometimes. But it was never that way here, and so I think it was Dr. Branch will be decided, I came here in 2013. Like I said, I felt like I had just landed in absolute heaven. And then we have a vacancy on the board, and we hear about the new board member coming on. And I'm thinking, I've heard that name before, Tim Burgess. Where have I heard this name before? Well, you just don't know what it's like to be a budget guy and find out that you're getting ready to make budget presentations to the former state budget director, the head of community health, and the retired executive vice president for finance for the University of Georgia. So I was like, holy cow. But I just want to say, you ask lots of questions. Whenever someone would say, do we have any questions, your hand would go up a lot. I hope I never gave you the look, because sometimes I was tired and I was ready to go home. But your questions were always really good. You never tried to embarrass anybody or anything like that. I was talking to to Sarana and Liz this week, and we all agree that your questions and the anticipation of the questions that you would ask us made us better at what we did. It definitely made us better at the presentation because we would try to anticipate the questions that the board would have. Most of them were yours. But you know, we would just try to get the questions up front, but we could always count on you to come back with some more. But we never really minded because it always meant that the board was engaged and that you knew what you were looking at, and it just made us better. So with that said, we would like to present you with the budget wizard hat. But in light of your accomplishments, all the accomplishments that were just listed out, and the fact that you were once in charge of the state budget, as well as the budget at University of Georgia, this isn't just a wizard hat. This is like the Mac Daddy wizard hat. But you have earned it, and it was an honor to work for you. It was an honor to work for you, Mrs. Argo, and the rest of the board, the ones who aren't here. Like I said, Oconee was just absolutely, of all the places I ever worked, will always go down as my favorite. And I'm glad that I got to end it here. So, and you were part of that. We appreciate it. So.
So Tim, we'll ask you to come forward now for the wizard hat and a token of our appreciation.
The Mac Daddy wizard hat.
Yeah. This is where the crowd chants, put it on. Tim, in recognition of your service to Oconee County Schools and best wishes on your retirement, thanks so much.
And that concludes recognitions.
Next on our agenda is Points of Pride, and we welcome Oconee County Elementary School.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Branch. Ms. Hunter and I are the proud administrators at Oconee County Elementary, and we are here to share with you some accolades for which we are extremely proud that our school has achieved. Oh, wait, I got to use this, don't I? On November 1st of last year, the Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence Committee named OCES as a Lighthouse School of Excellence. It is their highest honor, and to achieve that level, we had to score exemplary in all 9 critical areas. Those areas are student focus and support, school organization and culture, challenging standards and curriculum, active teaching and learning, technology and integration, professional community, leadership and education vitality, school, family, and community partnerships, and indicators of success. Not only did we achieve exemplary in all 9 ratings in these areas, we also received several commendations from the committee and were invited to present at the National Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence Conference in Orlando, which is on December 5th of this year. At the conference, I will proudly accept the Lighthouse Schools of Excellence Award on behalf of OCES. And on the screen are the pictures from our Blue Day from when we were announced a Blue Ribbon School of Excellence.
This past January, our speech pathologist, Susan Hogan, school psychologist, Suzanne Crumpton, and myself presented at the Student Support Team Association for Georgia's Educators Promising Practices Conference. At this conference, our presentation, titled Like a Boss, focused on strategies to develop executive functioning skills in students. As a result of the presentation, we were named as a finalist for the Stage Star Award and hosted a team of visitors who spent the day at OCES to evaluate our MTSS program and processes. From this visit, the Stage organization highlighted a few practices as commendations for our school. A few of these commendations include the use of decision data when discussing student progress or making adjustments to a student's plan for intervention, monthly meetings with parents of students receiving Tier 3 interventions and supports, an intentional focus on developing executive functioning skills in all of our students, and continuity between school years through our use of RTI end-of-year summaries for each student that focuses on both strengths and areas of growth. I am excited to share that we will be awarded the 2024 Star Award for elementary schools for promising practices at the annual conference in January, where we've also been invited to present again about our school's current practices.
On October 21st, Dr. Richard Woods, State School Superintendent, visited OCES to present our 3rd grade teachers with the Georgia Department of Education Literacy Leaders Award. Schools can achieve this recognition in 2 ways. The Gateway Achievement, schools earn this award when the percentage of 3rd grade students reading at or above grade level is over 90%. Ours was at 96%. They can also get it for Gateway Growth. Students or schools earn this award when the percentage of 3rd grade students reading at or above grade level increases according to a tiered growth criteria. For OCES, our 3rd grade students had to increase at least 5 percentage points from the previous year, and our students increased 13 percentage points to 96%. So they went up tremendously. Oconee Elementary actually won for both achievement and for growth for 3rd grade reading. And just last week, the Georgia Department of Education announced schools that demonstrated strong achievement and or growth in math proficiency. These schools will receive Masters of Mathematics Award. And I'm proud to share that our 5th grade students achieved Gateway Growth. Schools earned this when the percentage of 5th grade students scoring proficient or above increased according to the tiered criteria. For OCES, our 5th grader students had to increase 10 points or more on our percentage of level 3s and level 4s. Our students went up in 5th grade 11.5 percentage points to 71% of our students at proficient or above. And our 4th grade also achieved the Math Masters Award for growth based on their tiered criteria. They had to go up 5 points, and they actually went up 8.8 points to 75.2%. And not to be outdone by the 4th and 5th graders, our 3rd grade achieved Math Masters Award for both growth and achievement last year. They earned the Achievement Award by having 90% of students scoring proficient or above. They were actually at 94.3. And their growth was an astounding 22.42 points from 71.88% to 94.3%. And on that note of milestones achievement, our weighted milestones achievement for both ELA and math increased significantly last year. You can see on the two tables on the slide that OCES consistently scored between 91 and 92 in ELA. And in math, it was consistently between 94 and 95. And last year, we increased over 10 points in ELA to 103.62 and in math to 108.57. To say that I am proud of our teachers and students is an understatement. They worked extremely hard and made unprecedented increases in student learning last school year. But as proud as I am of our school for their hard work and accomplishments, I'm not sure if all these accolades compare to winning the Blue Side Olympics. We do have our gold medals to prove that we were the winners. We had strong competition from Oconee High, Middle, and Collin Ferry, but our fiercest competitors was Oconee Primary. It came down to a high-stakes game of rock, paper, scissors, and in the end, our athleticism and training and a little bit of luck paid off with a gold medal. But all joking aside, OCES has a pretty amazing team of teachers and support staff that work extremely hard on behalf of our students and bring their best every day. We work hard and we play hard, and every day is a great day to be an OCES chief. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lockridge and Ms. Hunter. Next on our agenda is Superintendent's Report. Dr. Branch.
Thank you, Ms. Argo, board members. Believe it or not, we still do have a few more things to celebrate, and so I want to point out some of the great things that have been going on in our schools since we last met as a governance team. Of course, today is Veterans Day, and we'd be remiss if we did not thank our veterans for their bravery, sacrifice, and commitment to ensure our nation's freedom and security, and our schools, as they always do, pause to respectfully show our appreciation through a variety of programs, breakfast opportunities, planting of flags in front of our schools, many things to show our pride in our veterans, and we just appreciate the work of these leaders in this room, the students and the community that came out to support those veterans today. Had a chance to talk to many today as I attended one of the events, and the pride and appreciation that they have for our community, and then the learning opportunity that it presents for our students to see and experience that is always very moving. So thank you, leaders, for that, and thank you, veterans, for your service. We want to talk briefly about our November 5th elections. Congratulate Mr. Ransom on re-election and his desire to serve the board yet again. And then also congratulate Adam Hammond and Brock Toole, who will be joining the board in January. Appreciate both of those gentlemen stepping forward to provide service to our community. We also I wanted to point out to our audience and our members of the community, if you have not heard that the statewide homestead exemption did pass, and so that does have some impact on the school system, and we'll be talking about that at a later date as we look at revenues and the impact of that bill. We also, the reconstitution of the Board of Education passed referendum as well. As board members, you're aware. And we do have policy BBA as an action item tonight due to that. For those in the audience, that was the reconstitution of the board and how they appoint board positions should a board member not be able to complete their term, as well as taking the board from post one being an automatic chair position to that position being selected and voted on by the board members. So the policy BBA will be an action item tonight that we will look at a later time. We have our typical Thanksgiving feast getting ready to start. Our friends from Dove Creek Middle are going to get it started this week on Thursday, so you have 12 opportunities to go enjoy. Probably stealing his thunder here, but I hear we have somewhere over 200 turkeys ordered. I'm sure we'll get the exact numbers later. But last year we served 7,277 meals for our Thanksgiving, and just an outstanding, again, opportunity for our families to come into our schools and celebrate the great things that are taking place there. As it relates to special events, of course, today being Veterans Day, but this week is also National School Psychology Week, and so we want to celebrate our 3 school psychologists, as well as point out that we will be celebrating Thanksgiving prior to our next meeting and be out for the final week of November there. A couple of athletic updates since we last met. North Oconee won its 4th straight region title in football, and both of our schools made it to the state football playoffs, and they'll begin this Friday night. North Oconee will be at home against Eagles Landing, and Oconee County High School will be traveling to Augusta against Westlake. A couple other things we'd love to point out. All 4 Oconee County and North Oconee cross-country teams won the region in cross-country, and our Oconee County boys cross-country team won its 3rd straight 3A state championship, while the girls placed 3rd in the state. Cross-country's future is also looking bright at the middle school level, as Oconee Middle varsity boys, the JV boys, and the JV girls won the Division III state championship. The varsity boys and girls each also won their respective region titles. Dove Creek Middle won the region title in football. North Oconee and Oconee both won region titles in volleyball. North Oconee won the region in competition cheerleading, and Oconee placed region runner-up in its region. Both will be competing at state championship this weekend in Macon. So outstanding academics, as you've heard, outstanding teachers, wonderful board support, and wonderful things going on in our community. So that concludes the superintendent's report, unless there are questions.
Thank you, Dr. Branch. Next on the agenda is presentations and discussions. First, we have the teaching and learning report. Welcome, Dr. Stansel.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, Dr. Branch. The November 2024 Teaching and Learning Report contains 4 items of information and no action items. The first item of information is the 2024 ACT results. This first chart illustrates that Oconee County Schools earned a 24.5 ACT score, which is an increase from last year and the highest score in the history of Oconee County Schools. This is well above the state score of 21.2 and the national score of 19.4. I would also like to note that the state and national scores went down while our score continued to go up. The second chart shows the number of OCS test takers from the class of 2024, which was also an increase. The third chart in the report displays the rankings for the top 10 districts in the state. OCS is ranked 2nd in the state, which is also an increase from last year. OCS also achieved the highest score for any county system in the state of Georgia. Congratulations to all our students, parents, teachers, and administrators on these results. The second item of information is an update on the 2024 graduation rate. The first chart shows that the Oconee County Schools 2024 graduation rate is 99.1, which is well above the state rate of 85.4. Again, this is also the highest graduation rate in the history of Oconee County Schools. The second chart details the subgroup graduation rate. And of note, our students with disabilities achieved 100%. The third chart shows the rankings. Oconee County Schools is once again ranked 1st in the state. Congratulations to all our students, parents, teachers, and administrators on this achievement. I especially want to commend Mr. Carter and Mr. Stevens for their leadership and their dedication to student success. The third item of information is an update on our school improvement visits. The strategic plan and school improvement plans are reviewed on an ongoing basis and posted on the system and school websites. The Teaching and Learning Department visits each school multiple times a year to review the school improvement plans and offer support from the district office. The strategic plan and school improvement plans are updated on an ongoing basis as data becomes available and are used to monitor progress throughout the school year. OCS will continue to be transparent by communicating our results to the community using a measurable system improvement plan that is accessible on the district website and through Assembly. A huge thank you to our principals for their hard work and continued improvement at each school. The fourth item of information that you've already heard a little bit about tonight is the Georgia DOE Literacy Leader Award. Richard Woods, Georgia State School Superintendent, presented the Literacy Leader banner to Oconee County Elementary based on their results on the Milestones exam last spring. Oconee Elementary was recognized for achievement and growth based on 90% or greater of students reading at or above grade level. This year, only 324 schools across the state met qualifications to be literacy leaders. OCS is only one of 5 elementary schools in our RESA to receive this distinction. Dove Creek Elementary, High Shoals Elementary, and Rocky Branch Elementary were also named literacy leaders last year. And this concludes my report unless there are any questions. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is Student Services. Welcome, Dr. Yancey.
Good evening, Dr. Branch and board members. The November 2024 Student Services Report contains 5 items of information and no action items. The first item of information is to inform the board of the mental health first aid training held on our October Professional Learning Day. Our special education department and student services team joined together to host the training here at the Instructional Sports Center. Over 40 staff members who represented all 12 schools, including members of our counseling team, school psychologists, speech language pathologists, instructional support specialists, special education teachers, and district staff participated in this training. The mental health first aid curriculum focused on youth in the K-12 setting and provided all of us with opportunities to deepen our understanding of relevant mental health issues, incorporate a common language around emotional health in our schools, and build capacity to support our students and school communities. The second item of information is the public school choice timeline for the 25-26 school year. Applications for school choice will be available on Friday, November 22nd, 2024 at 4 p.m. The window for school choice will close on January 17th, 2025 at 4 p.m. and decision letters will be mailed the following week, Friday, January 24th, 2025. Applications will be available on the main district website and via links on the school district social media accounts. This year, all 12 schools are available for school choice. To make this process easier for our families and to support the planning purposes of school personnel, school choice will now become a decision for K-5 and then 6-12. So families would only have to make a decision for their elementary school and then only one decision for a secondary path once in 6th grade. The third item of information is our annual participation in the survey system from the Georgia Department of Education. The Georgia School Climate Surveys are designed to measure the quality of school life by measuring student and adult experiences related to academics, relationships, safety, and the learning environment. Surveys will be offered to 4 groups of stakeholders: our students, our teachers, our staff, and our families. The family survey will open December the 2nd and close March 31st. The student surveys, the teacher and staff surveys will be administered in January. The student surveys will be administered starting in February 2025. Parents and guardians will receive information about the family survey in December and information about the student survey in January. The fourth item of information is our athletic programs. On behalf of our students, coaches, and school leaders, I want to again take the opportunity to thank you, Board, for your continued support of our athletic programs. As you are aware, last year you decided to allow sixth graders the opportunity to participate in middle school athletics. As of the October board meeting in 2023, it was noted that we had 96 sixth graders who participated in middle school athletics last fall. I'm excited to report that as of this fall sports season, we had 107 sixth graders participate in fall sports, which accounts for over 15% of our sixth grade enrollment. As a reminder, the fall sports opportunities for sixth graders include cheerleading, cross country, fast pitch softball, and volleyball. The fifth item of information is an update on the district's memorandum of understanding with the Oconee County Sheriff's Office regarding the School Resource Officer Program. As you know, last month we provided 6 MOUs related to SROs from some of our neighboring school districts. Since that meeting, we have received a 7th from Oglethorpe County and have provided that to you this evening. Myself, Mr. Kofer, and Dr. Branch have continued to study and review these MOUs and also met with our liaison from the Sheriff's Office, and our office spoke for the Sheriff's Office again today to discuss a more formalized agreement. As the board knows, the Sheriff's Office has already provided 2 SROs for our schools, and while we mutually agreed upon an understanding of what the roles are, we do not have a formalized agreement that details these expectations and the cost associated. Tonight, we are sharing with you a draft MOU that we have developed to detail the roles and responsibilities of both the school district and the Sheriff's Office. This draft remains a work in progress, but we wanted to provide an update on our progress as we work to put an SRO plan in place. This draft would provide a formal agreement that the board would need to approve for our current SROs, as well as provide the groundwork to grow the program as the sheriff is able to provide additional deputies. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Kofer to come forward to share some additional information about the draft MOU.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Dr. Yancey for allowing me to join this presentation. You know, nothing's more exciting to HR than creating duties and responsibilities for other people. As Dr. Yancey mentioned, we've been working together to review the sample MOUs and use those as a reference to create the draft that has been provided to you this evening. This draft represents a contractual service agreement with the Oconee County Sheriff's Office, whereby we would agree to the term of the contract, services to be provided, expectations of each organization, and a cost for the services provided to Oconee County Schools. Through this agreement, the SROs would continue to be employees of the Sheriff's Office and thus remain under the jurisdiction and authority of the Sheriff. However, I'd like to highlight for you Section 3.2 and 3.51 of the draft MOU, and those are available for you on the board as well. Section 3.2 provides for mutually agreed upon criteria related to the application and appointment process of the SROs, as well as the option for school system personnel to participate in the interview of prospective SRO candidates. Section 3.5.1 provides for the removal of SROs at the request of the school district. These sections ensure that the school district continues to have input on both the hiring and separation of individuals who would spend their time with our students, and is in line with the sample MOUs between other school districts and their respective sheriff's offices. As it relates to cost, we again referred to the sample MOUs as well as information we were able to gather from our peers in the RESA. This information is displayed before you, and to the best of our knowledge is a reflection of the cost for SROs in the 12 districts in our RESA. You will see that there are a few different models or approaches that are used with a range of cost. In Barrow and in Morgan County, they have a 50-50 shared cost with their respective sheriff's offices and or board of commissioners, with an estimated cost given for each SRO. Barrow has 15 SROs and pays an estimated $32,814 per SRO, while Morgan has 4 SROs with an estimated cost of $37,500 each. While Walton does not specify a percentage, Walton, like many of the others you'll see tonight, does provide a specific amount that they pay for each SRO. They have 15 at a cost of $66,897. Elbert has their own school system police force that provides 5 SROs for the system. Jefferson has 4 SROs with an 80-20 split of cost for the first 3, and they fully fund the 4th. Madison has 8 SROs. They only pay for 5 of those at a rate of $18,750. And Oglethorpe just recently agreed to a 50-50 split for a cost of $36,000 per SRO, and they have 2. Social Circle pays $65,000 each for 2 SROs. Clark has an agreement with both their local police department to provide SROs at a cost of just over $58,000 per SRO, as well as their own school system police force that provides an additional 13 SROs. Lastly, Jackson has 10 SROs at a cost of $35,000 each. Using this information, we wanted to provide for you an anticipated salary cost for the contractual services to be provided by the Sheriff's Office, using the salary range currently available on the Oconee County job posting for a deputy sheriff. The starting salary is just over $45,000. We converted this into a daily rate of pay by dividing the salary by a typical 260 working days in a calendar year and arrived at a daily rate of $173.72. We multiplied this daily rate by the number of days the SRO service would be provided to the school district, which is 180 school days, to arrive at an anticipated annual salary cost of $31,269 to the school district per SRO. We applied this formula to the top of the pay range as well and arrived at an anticipated annual salary cost of $46,464 to the school district, again, per SRO. As you know, we currently have 2 SROs being provided by the Sheriff's Office, and you will note that our draft MOU requests an SRO at each of our 12 schools beginning next school year. Therefore, for this year, the anticipated salary cost is between $62,538 and $92,929. And for a fully staffed SRO program at all 12 schools, that cost will be between $375,233 and $557,579. And that concludes our information related to the draft MOU, but we remain available for any questions.
Justin, first I want to say I appreciate you and Dr. Yancey and Dr. Branch. It's apparent that you guys have done a lot of work in taking this conversation and evaluation of SROs a long way in just a couple of months since we first started asking you to start looking at MOUs and an arrangement with the Sheriff's Office. You're pointing something out that I think is an obvious point about this, but I want to make sure to highlight it because I think it's at the core of what we're talking about doing. If you look at these other, based on the information you just showed to us, it looks like almost all the counties around us that you guys have looked at have formed a partnership with their local sheriff's office to provide SROs to the schools, while at the same time those individuals are still full-time employees with all the qualifications and certifications that come with being a deputy sheriff. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. So most of the systems around us are forming partnerships, are enlarging. Looks like Barrow is increasing their partnership with their local sheriff's office to beef up their SRO presence. But that partnership is based on a sense that the sheriff is hiring the police officers or the deputy sheriffs and then assigning them a portion of the year to the school system to perform SRO duties. So by inference, I'm assuming that other days when those deputies are not in the school systems, they're doing other duties that are assigned to them by the sheriff in that particular county.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And that's kind of the basic premise that we're going down, following the other models around us and trying to form this partnership with the sheriff's office. The second is you've already referenced the fact that two sheriff's deputies have already been assigned to us. So those were existing sheriff's deputies that have now been assigned to us at both of our high schools, and we're trying to formalize that arrangement because they're already working in our school system, and we're incurring costs that we owe them for those services that we're contracting for. Correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. I think that's a basic principle that needs to be established right up front, that follows the examples of the other school systems, because if I understand how this would roll out, the sheriff's office has given us 2 now, and over the course of time, as they hire additional sheriff's deputies and have them properly trained and ready to be an SRO, then we would amend our contract, add an additional SRO as they can provide them up to the point of potentially 12 for all of our different schools.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think that's a pretty basic concept and a pretty important principle as we move into this conversation that forms the basis on how this MOU can be finalized with the sheriff's office. So I appreciate your work with that. It's very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Sheriff Hale said it, but what his timeline is for, because there's a lot of training that these officers have to go through. Correct? Do y'all recall? Or?
Dr. Yancey, do you have a timeline?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I remember it being extensive, what they had to go through.
Yeah, I can take that one. Ms. Parrish, the conversations we've had with the sheriff and his team is that the training just to be a law enforcement officer has doubled recently to 800 hours. There's additional training for school resource officers. The individuals who are school resource officers in our system right now are getting ready to go attend some of those trainings. And as we've shared with the sheriff and he shared publicly, there's vacancies in the sheriff's office right now for patrol deputies. And so those will need to be filled as well as these additional positions. So we stand ready as a school system, and our direction and understanding from the board is as soon as there are available SROs to be placed in our schools, whenever that is, then we would receive those SROs and hopefully have an MOU in place at that time that would outline our responsibilities, costs, and could bring those information back to the board. The sheriff has shared with us and others that will take time.
Thank you.
Mr. Burgess?
Dr. Branch, do you feel like we're at a point where the information you know and the MOUs that's been developed, at least to the draft form at this point, is ready to be sent to the sheriff's office for their review and their participation on their side of it in terms of a detailed document?
Yes, sir. Justin, would you like to address that?
Sure. We've actually already shared the draft MOU with the sheriff's office, so they are in receipt and they are reviewing it at this time.
Okay, so they've actually received this draft as our proposed draft for how this is supposed to work, and we got to fill in all the details in terms of the costs and others, but the basic framework is laid out and they've received that, and now you're just waiting on them to respond?
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you.
And many of the items that are in there were part of a draft that they shared with us originally as well. So I think we're moving in a great direction in formalizing that particular part of the MOU.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next on our agenda is special education. Welcome, Ms. Korngold.
Good evening, Dr. Branch and board members. Tonight, the Oconee County Special Education November 11th Board Report contains 2 items of information and no action items. Our first item of information is our annual Manufacturing Institute. Oconee County Schools partners with the Georgia High School High Tech Department, which is part of GVRA, the Georgia Vocational Rehab Agency, to offer North Oconee High School and Oconee High School students the opportunity to participate in a manufacturing institute. This is a 3-day training experience for all those students. The purpose of the training is to learn more about the field of manufacturing, and the job opportunities within that field. The students earn a certificate that can go on their resume and assist them in obtaining employment as they transition out of high school. Students receive a 3-day industry recognized certificate upon the completion of these 3-day training. The certificate includes the OSHA 1, the Lean Six Sigma White Belt training, and then the hands-on CPR and AED. Manufacturing industries like the motor industries, Shawn Industries, Caterpillar employ over 500,000 in Georgia. As the manufacturing institutes and industry grows in our state, the need for workers are growing along with it. So we're excited that we are able to offer this opportunity to our high school students every year, and we value the partnerships that are given with us. The next item of information is our graduation rate. Oconee County's graduation rate for special education hit an all-time high this year of 100%. That was at Oconee High School 100% and North Oconee 100%. This is the highest in Oconee County history, and it is one of 5 systems in the state of Georgia. We were actually number 1 in the state of Georgia for high schools that had graduates over 200. So we are very proud of that. We were the only system in the RESA that hit the 100% grad mark as well. You can see our progression here over the years. Here we are in the Northeast Georgia RESA. And then there we are in compared to the state, well above the state average every single year. That concludes the report for special education, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Corrigan.
You're welcome.
Next on our agenda is technology. Welcome, Mr. McCullers.
Good evening. Thank you, board members. The Oconee County Schools Technology Services November 11th, 2024 Board of Education report contains no items of information and 1 action item. Tonight's action item is our technology surplus. The Division of Technology Services conducts an inventory analysis at 2 key points in the school year. Technology has finalized the winter technology surplus list based on our replacement cycle. The superintendent's recommendation is for the Board of Education to approve the surplus list as presented. And that is all I have from technology, unless you have any questions.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Next, we have human resources. Welcome again, Mr. Kofer.
Round 2. The Oconee County Schools Human Resources Board report for this evening contains 1 item of information and 1 action item. Our first item of information is open enrollment. I'm happy to report that we have concluded another successful open enrollment period for our faculty and staff. Annually, our employees have 3 weeks to sign up for and or make changes to both their state health benefit plan and their supplemental benefit offerings. These supplemental benefits include dental, vision, long and short-term disability, and legal coverage, to name a few. Each year, a member of the HR team visits each of our schools and the transportation facility to offer assistance during the open enrollment window. This year, Suzanne Graves sat down one-on-one with just over 300 employees to provide guidance and help navigating the benefit enrollment process. I'm incredibly thankful for these efforts and know that the value of educating our staff on the benefits available to them is worth the time invested. Our action item for this evening is the 2026-2027 academic calendar. Each year, we listen to our advisory groups and the insight they have on our school calendar. This year, the consensus was to again revisit the inclusion of a week-long fall break. We created 2 calendar versions for the 26-27 school year, what we call our traditional model, starting school on the first Wednesday in August, 90 instructional days each semester, and concluding school with students before Memorial Day, and our fall break model, that would start school on a Monday, include a week-long break in October, and still conclude school before Memorial Day. These drafts were first shared with our teacher, parent, and student advisory groups for feedback, followed by our leadership team, and lastly, we shared them with the district staff and sent out a request for their feedback via a Google form. We have received close to 450 responses from our staff, with 73% of those being in favor of the fall break model. At this time, we feel we provided the opportunity for and heard significant input from our staff, and we're now ready to hear from the community. Therefore, it is the superintendent's recommendation that the board approve the placement of the fall break calendar option on the table for public review and comment. This concludes Human Resources report for this evening, but we remain available for any questions.
Mr. Burgess?
Justin, is there any research that suggests that another break in October from school, a week-long break in October in school, in addition to the one in November, December, affects the academic performance component of what we do? I mean, the fact that we'd have 3 weeks or 3 months with a week out of school for all 3 months, is there any research that suggests that's an issue or not?
I can't speak to any research that says it is an issue or that it is not. I can tell you that in what we did with speaking with other districts, it's clear that that break off is what they consider well-earned and needed at that point in time for students, and they have seen an increase in attendance around that time for students. They don't miss as many instructional days because they're able to go on that vacation during that set-aside time versus just missing school days.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
All right.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Business Services. Welcome, Mr. Adams.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Branch. Business Services has 6 items of information tonight and no action items for tonight's meeting. Our first item of information is our October cash balances report. As of October 31st, the closing cash balance represents a 5.4% increase over last month. Our state funding projections are currently stable, but we will continue to monitor any changes to the funding levels in the coming months. Our cash balance for October is strong, and we are well positioned to meet our financial obligations. The second item of information is a list of all vendors paid in October. We paid 549 different vendors $1.5 million for the month. Our third item of information is the budget report for October. Revenue and expenditures would be expected to be at 33%. Our monthly report shows us at 35.8. I'd like to point out this also includes about 1.9 million or about 1.7% in encumbrances for the fiscal year, so where we encumber the money ahead of time for the year. So we're sitting strong where we should be. Our fourth item of information is our ELOS collection report. We do have a decrease of 2.83% in collections over last month, but a 6.5% increase over October of last year. So our collections are still going strong. The next item of information is the fifth item is our ELOS 6 report. Revenues and expenditures have been updated through October 31st. And our last item of information is their federal fund allocations and expenditures for the month of October. These funds are, again, reimbursement based, and we will see these funds continue to be paid out to us throughout the fiscal year. That concludes my report, unless the board has any questions. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is Operations. Welcome, Dr. White.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, board members and Dr. Branch. Operations has 3 items of information for this evening. The first informational item for operations is an update on our energy report. Our kilowatt usage per day per 1,000 square feet has been updated for the month of September. The second informational item is our transportation update. For the previous month, we had 43 field trips, 69 athletic trips, 27 special education trips, 200 buses deployed for a total of 16,719 miles. Transportation will also have an action item this evening for the 6 new school buses that were introduced last month as an RFQ. Our third item of information is an update on school nutrition participation for the month of October. Board members, you'll see that we saw an increase in participation for breakfast of 0.63% and lunch of 3.59%. as compared to October of 2023. In addition, and Dr. Branch mentioned this before, we have 278 turkeys currently sitting in our kitchens. So we are looking forward to having those on Thanksgiving with our students, staff, and guests. And that concludes the operations report, unless there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have operations. Just talk about facilities. Welcome, Mr. Ricketson.
Good evening. The Oconee County Schools Operations and Facilities, November 11, 2024 Board of Education report contains 2 items of information. The first item of information is the lead custodian meeting. The October lead custodian meeting was held on Thursday, October the 10th, and was hosted by the team at Duff Creek Middle School. The team discussed the proper way to wear a backpack vacuum and techniques for restroom cleaning. Our custodial teams are to be commended for their rigorous work ensuring that our schools are clean for health. Next item of information is a construction update. We continue to work on a few small punch list items for the ISC, where the list is getting much shorter. The district-wide generator project, we continue to do preparation work so that we're ready for the generators when they arrive. We're expecting them early spring, February, March. And that concludes the operations report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is communications. Welcome, Mr. Colquitt.
Thank you, Ms. Argo. Good evening again, board members and Dr. Branch. The communications report this evening contains 2 items of information. The first item of information is the October social media impressions. Oconee County Schools had 40 posts during the month of October, and the average for impressions was just over 7,300. That is the number of times a post appeared on a screen. 6 of our posts averaged more than 10,000 impressions, led by the Region 1 Act play result with 29,000 and the niche rankings with 20,000. 29 of our 40 posts reached 5,000 impressions. For the month, Oconee County Schools added 40 followers, giving the district more than 21,300 followers. The second item of information is the October 2024 highlights video. And that concludes communications, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you. Next, we have communications to the board. Do we have anyone signed up, Mr. Colquitt?
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 citizens signed up to address the board this evening. Before I invite them up, I'll read this. Policies BCBI and BCBIR1 state that only Oconee County residents or school system employees may address the board, and that members of the public shall conduct themselves in a respectful manner that is not disruptive to the conduct of the board's business. The board allows 3 minutes for those who sign up prior to the meeting. Please state your name, address, and topic. The board requests that you refrain from making any disparaging remarks about school system personnel. Generally, there will be no response to comments or questions posed by citizens at the meeting. All comments and questions will be taken under advisement by the board. However, any board member shall be free to respond and make public comments if he or she elects to do so. To any citizen wishing to provide documents for board members, please submit them to the Director of Communications before the meeting or prior to addressing the board. Please remain at the podium during your public comment time. Our first citizen is Angela Martin.
Welcome, Ms. Martin.
Hi, my name is Angela Martin. I live on Wild Azalea Lane in Athens. I would like to first comment on Mr. Burgess's discussion earlier. Other schools around us, namely Forsyth County, Beaufort City, Habersham County, Gwinnett County, schools with similar performance and/or demographics, they report difficulty hiring and maintaining school resource officers without being 51% or more school employees, and the officers being 51% or more school employees. And what I was told is that if they're not already there, they're moving in that direction, and just to those specific schools. So I would ask Dr. Branch and the board, would you consider hiring school resource officers as employees of the school system at 51% or more to ensure timely placement of school resource officers in our schools? Secondly, I was asked to recently read a statement by Kelly Cafiro, and Kelly, I'm going to do my best to read it in the time I have. I come to you threefold: as the former Oconee County substitute teacher, as a former Appalachia High School teacher, and as an Oconee Brookwood resident with young children. As a former Appalachia High School teacher, it has been extremely sad to know what has happened there. Since I've been a part of Appalachia in the past, I feel I will always carry that community with me no matter what. Even though I no longer work there, the community is part of my heart and part of my history as an educator. We all know that the Barrow County and Oconee County communities are very intertwined. One of the greatest upholders of safety is transparency. The item of SROs to be placed at all 12 schools needs a continued presence on the agenda at all future Board of Education meetings. This should take place until the goal is met. Additionally, as someone who has worked in local public schools, I will tell you that there is an issue with teachers having the support to be able to address all of the safety concerns that they face. This is often due to the chain of command system used in many counties. This system is typically not only for parents, but for teachers trying to voice concerns. Do we consider what's being prevented from reaching the top of the chain? I would suggest that implementation of a truly anonymous system for reporting classroom concerns that were not sufficiently addressed by the chain of command. This should be a system that teachers truly trust. I am certain that before and after the Appalachia High School tragedy, we have been blinded to the actual multitude of reported threats taking place in our local schools on a daily basis, some that may be determined as credible and some not. When I think about the precious lives of our children, I can't understand a scenario in which we wouldn't want to be better formed about the realities that our community is facing each day. I truly believe that there is so much information hidden that we will not see real change until it comes out into the light. I'll try to finish next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Our next citizen is Devin Smith.
Welcome, Ms. Smith.
Thank you. Good evening. I appreciate the chance to talk to you all again. The first time I did was back at our September meeting, and I'm here to make good on our promise that if you would stay involved in the SRO program, we would stay involved in it. And I was so pleased to find that that was on tonight's meeting and that we got to hear a lot about it. Obviously, we need to take some time to digest it, but I hope that the board was able to see the column that we put in the newspaper this past week, asking you to continue moving forward with that program and addressing the concern that Ms. Martin raised about recruiting for SRO positions and how maybe the board's choice of funding could really help with that. We've made a lot of calls and have a lot of information that supports the idea that if these are employees of Oconee County Schools, it could both take the pressure off of the sheriff, who has stated that he's got a lot of open positions to fill in his own divisions, much less these additional ones, and could help with attracting people from anywhere who might already be trained. We've heard a lot of conversations on that timeline of training and that there's a lot that law enforcement has to go through now. We are sympathetic to all of that, but we know that people come to Oconee County because they want to be here just like we do. And I think we could probably have the same result with recruiting SROs if they know they're going to be part of OCS, because it's clear that everyone else, you know, is here for that same goal. Maybe we can bring in people that way. As I heard Mr. Kofer state, I think that the goal under the current draft MOU, which, by the way, I would ask that you would share it with us as the public so we could all review that too, that under the current draft, the idea is to get an SRO in every school by next school year. I might have understood Mr. Burgess to say that we could do this as we find a hire, put them in and amend. Maybe I misunderstood that or not, but we certainly want an accelerated timeline. 8 more months, 9 more months, 10 more months of 10 of our schools not having that support. It's not something that we as parents can just acquiesce to. Perhaps in that MOU, we could build in those timelines, those things that we've been asking for. If both sides could agree to somehow have some metrics and some measurements so that we know by X number of days, we're asking the sheriff to have filled a certain number of positions if you proceed with the MOU as it is. Or by X number of days, you will have decided if you could put forth more money and make these school system employees so that we can attract more and perhaps already prepared student resource officers. So all we're asking is please just keep it moving and please tell us these concrete times that it's going to move. Again, so thankful to have heard what we heard tonight, but we'd love to hear more because we still all have the exact same goal. 12 SROs, 1 on every campus. That's all we want. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Ms. Ergo, that concludes public communication.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is action items. Dr. Branch.
Yes, ma'am. Up first is the technology surplus list. We would recommend approval as presented.
We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Ransom.
Second.
Mr. Burgess, all in favor? Passes 5-0.
Up next, school buses. We would recommend the purchase of 6 77-passenger buses from Rush Truck Center for a total cost of $834,000. Recommend approval.
And we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Hammack.
Second.
Ms. Parrish, all in favor? Passes 5-0.
Next up is the board policy BBA. We'd recommend the board place this policy on the table for public review to be removed from the table at our next meeting and approved should the board deem that appropriate. So recommend that the board place this policy on the table at this time.
We need a motion.
I would recommend that action.
Mr. Burgess.
Second.
Mr. Hammack, all in favor? Passes 5-0. We do have a need to move into executive session, and we need a motion to do so.
I'll make a motion that the board will adjourn to executive session to discuss or deliberate upon personnel matters, to review an appeal from a student disciplinary tribunal hearing officer or panel as described on the affidavit to be attached to the minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Parrish. We need a second.
Second.
Mr. Ransom, all in favor? Passes 5-0.